Good morning to you, the people of Burma, other people around the world, friends, digital acquaintances. Alan Clements here in Santa Monica, California, United States, speaking daily here at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time in support of the radically courageous freedom fighters in Myanmar at this very moment, risking their lives, their freedom, to restore an evolutional democracy that has been kidnapped from the country, kidnapped from the world community. And I'd like to speak to that again today, if I may. The abusers of power, and using Václav Havel's famous phrase, and the power of the powerless. And from my humble estimation, Senior General Ming Online, the senior commander of the terrorist organization known as the Thamada in Burma, sadly, which has become a Taliban of Burma, a proxy army of China. It's very clear that China has designs on Burma, the Andaman Sea, a front to India, let's call it like it is, Indonesia. Shame on you. Meeting with this bogus terrorist leader in Bangkok and talking and negotiating like a future democratic election that's free and fair. I mean, where do you come from to have these kind of conversations? Shame on you from Indonesia. Shame on you, ASEAN. I mean, if I were your husband, I would seek immediate divorce. If I were your children, I'd go like, Mom, what in the hell are you thinking? What bad pill are you swallowing? Bad. Disgraceful. Setting that bullshit aside for the moment, there's a part of me that says ASEAN, EU, G7, America, Australia, Canada, freedom-loving countries around the world, United Nations. It's not a big screw you, but it's sort of like we don't want to meddle in the interior affairs of another country being kidnapped and tyrannized and raped. Wow, that's a really cool global ethic for democratic countries around the world to follow. I mean, thank you very much. I wish I was a president following that kind of indoctrination of dictatorship called democracy. But setting that aside, don't focus on world leaders to support in the way that is necessary by sending one of the two attack U.S. aircraft carriers to the Andaman Sea. But setting that aside, Burma, you rock, man. I mean, what you're doing isn't just like the latest birth of democracy. You're electrifying the country. You're illuminating the world with your radical expression of liberty in action. You're showing us examples of what it means, as Daw Aung San Suu Kyi has said, grace under pressure, grace under, unremitting, torturous suffering. What it means to rise up in your dignity, in your conscience, in your courage, in your fidelity to freedom of thought, conscience, expression, and say yes to freedom and no to tyranny and dictatorship. It's the epic archetypal battle of Dhamma with Mara, Kusala with Akusala, greed with generosity, love with anger, wisdom with delusion. You are manifesting a revolutionary experience, and it's not just a birth of democracy. I think you're showing a face of democracy in action that the world has not seen, maybe ever. 54 million people saying, stop. And I really want to emphasize this point. I think to my own Buddhist roots, and I've said it many times, the story of Angulimala, the serial killer at the time of the Buddha, who wants to take the Buddha's life to conclude his masterful murder of 1,000 people, it's said. Quite an epic story. And he approaches the Buddha, and the Buddha's walking on, and Angulimala shouts out, "Stop." And the Buddha turns around and says to Angulimala, "I have stopped. It's you who haven't stopped." Isn't that the revolution right now? People of Burma are saying, Senior General Ming Online, the Thamada, the police, stop, stop. You keep threatening and using force, and we as the wives of the military will seek divorce. You threaten and use force, we will divorce. Where are the women of the Thamada? Where are the women in the military? Where are the women in the police force? If you don't release Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, it's over with me. Hello, join the civil disobedience movement, wives or husbands and girls and partners. Show up with Stop the Angulimala Revolution. It's really an epic battle of Kusala and Akusala. You're Buddhists in the military and the police. You know this from your own Dhamma culture training as Tila Shins and as Koyins. And I just thank you for my heart for rising up in this epic experience of courage to say stop to tyranny. And you know, the world is not watching alone. The world is feeling you, and it takes some time to activate the deeper intelligences animating our own shared existence as human, to all of a sudden feel the fidelity that you in Myanmar are not different than me in America or Canada. You are human beings. You are family. You are family and relatives in democracy. You are family and brothers and sisters in the universality of human rights. You are sisters and cousins and uncles and mothers and grandparents in Dhamma, a trans-religious experience that's basically pitting good against bad, with the power of nonviolent confrontation with these absolute morons that think the power of the fist is more mighty than the heart. Burma, you are showing up in a way that is breathtaking. Point 2. ASEAN, China, Russia, pathetic. Don't let anyone tell you that China is not intimately integral to this problem. The Belt and Road Initiative ad nauseum is a euphemism for global domination through the tyranny of a genocidal supremacy called Premier Xi and the Communist Party of China. Why do you have a firewall around 1.4 billion people if you really want democracy, that you really want to belong to the civilized free world? Hello, what is that about? No, I'm not going to allow my people, music and art and dance, no, but porn and all kinds of other things that we deem essential to the ongoing subjugation of the free people of China. We'll let that kind of propaganda in. That is big brother tyranny. A firewall built by companies around the world, including some of the oligarchs in Silicon Valley. Shame on you, American corporations. Shame on you, Wall Street, for financing the genocidal Premier Xi of China's firewall to protect their people from the truth, from music, from art, from love, from freedom of press across all frontiers. Shame on you for those investments. As we did in South Africa, divest all involvement today, from universities to businesses to what we do on the street to buy. Check the label, check online. Where does this come from? In Myanmar right now, the stop of buying. We know all the military-run, crony-based manufacturing companies, alcohol and cigarettes and gas and oil, rubies, lumber, factories, manufacturing, garments. It's all known. And guess what? Yet again, a South African divestment campaign in the country. It's making it very clear to the Thamada, the terrorist organization, the Taliban of Burma right now, that they're not going to buy anything at all that has any connection at all to the police and the military. Defund, literally, tyranny in Burma. That rocks all around the world. We can also participate in defunding anyone, any company that has any connection whatsoever to these, these terrorist organizational corporations and manufacturing and alcohol and cigarettes and lumber and rubies, oil and gas, China and weapons. Cut. Also, I want to say to the Sangha in Burma, as brothers in Dhamma, brothers in Sangha, the 5,000 yektas and monasteries throughout Myanmar, make it clear that you have joined the civil disobedience movement, the Dhamma-oriented civil disobedience movement. One, we refuse to participate in violence. As a Sangha, we're committed to ahimsa. We refuse to participate and collude with violence. Stop all engagement. Refuse to take any donation, any dana, any medicines, any robes, anything whatsoever donated by the military or someone associated with the military. I know as well as you do that when you're in Myanmar, everyone knows everything about everyone. It's not an echo chamber. It's an absolutely open dialogue. We know where things come from. The Sangha in Burma, the clergy in Burma, the Jews in Burma, the Catholics in Burma, the Christians in Burma, the agnostics in Burma, the Sangha in Burma, the Buddhists in Burma, the nuns in Burma, the monks in Burma refuse to take anything whatsoever. No to the dana from the military. 2, this is the season in Burma, as you know very well, that the boys and girls from all over the country will come to yektas and monasteries to participate in a Dhamma culture course. They'll learn the ABCs of the 5 precepts, of the beauty of dana. They will begin to meditate and acquaint themselves with the power of sati. They'll listen to discourses by other boys and girls and nuns and monks and teachers. They'll learn the art of respect, how to eat mindfully, speak mindfully, listen mindfully. No. As I've encouraged here, as it's being encouraged in Burma, the wives of the military, the wives of Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, his girlfriends, the wives and the partners and girlfriends of the other senior generals, the wives, the partners, the mistresses, or if it happens to be the other side and you're a woman and you're in uniform and they're a man, threaten and use violence, and we divorce. Make it clear, a line in the cognitive Dhamma sand in Burma. Let those men in uniform know it is completely unacceptable. I said NO. It's the Angulimala revolution. Stop. You're motivated by Lobha Dosa Moha. That is the ruin of you. It's the ruin of me. It's the ruin of the people. And it's a guaranteed birth in the Apayaloka, hell, in our next birth. You are sowing the seeds of a Devadatta future. I do not want to participate. I refuse to participate. I am seeking divorce. And if you continue, I will take everything with me. Up the stakes, women, in Myanmar. Do not collude with your men based upon anything that you feel as necessary for survival. It is a denigration to your family, to your culture, and to you to continue colluding with the men using violence, threatening violence, and ongoing coercion of the entire country. Free Aung San Suu Kyi, or it's the over with me. End of story. You just can't kidnap a human being. You cannot kidnap the state councilor and expect us to accept that. No, you just don't do that, dude. It's not acceptable. Nowhere in the world is kidnapping acceptable. It's an act of tyranny. You cannot kidnap the president. No, you can't call it a free and fair election that you're going to have in the future and invite the foreign minister from ASEAN or Indonesia to come. It's not plausible. You're living in a fantasy world of idiocy. It's stupidity. It's moha and deluded, dumb action. Women will know this. The kids will know this. And they're going to say, Dad, I don't want to belong to this family, this cult. I don't want to be criticized and accused by my friends and associates all over the world that I have a shameful father, a denigrating father who's kidnapped the most popular, democratically elected, remarkably, historically elegant human being in our country, Daw Aung San Suu Kyi. What are you thinking, Dad? What are you thinking all along the ranks of the military? Women, children, defect. Join the civil disobedience movement. Back to the Sangha. We refuse to ordain, even temporarily, boys and girls associated either directly as family members of the military or the police, or the cronies that do business with the military and the police. No. We're drawing a line here in the Dhamma sand. No, we want a future of the sasana, not a temporary access to your dana, your wealth, your status. I'm sorry. Go back and ask your mom and dad, why won't the monks and the nuns accept me, Dad, into the yekda to ordain even for a week, as we're supposed to do as young boys and girls in our country, to learn the basics of Dhamma and Panchasila. And, I'm oppressing our country, killing students who love music and art and freedom, and I don't know what else to say about it, son, except that maybe you should become an agnostic, or maybe try the Catholic Church and see if they'll accept you, or maybe you should take up a gun and shoot with me some of these derelict human beings. And if you don't free Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, it's the end of me, Dad. I'm leaving. And if you don't restore Parliament, I'm taking everything with me. Divorce, gone, and take it all to another location. You will be supported. Isolate the men hiding behind their military badges and their might is right, small dick consciousness with guns from China and blah, blah, blah. We're so done on planet Earth, dudes, with violence is democracy. It's so done. Done, dude. You are historic. You're not even a dinosaur. You are a petrified fossil of stupidity coming to the end. We're many, you are few, and people by the second are joining Burma's civil disobedience movement. Roadside vendors, storefronts are putting up signs all throughout the country. We will not sell to tyrants. We will not sell to the uniform. We will not sell to the police. We will not sell to the crony. All restaurants that buy your liquor and your cigarettes. No, over and out, done, 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 done. It's to stop the Angulimala campaign. Stop the tyranny. Stop your rage. Stop your violence. Stop your ignorance. Okay. I'm you. How do I feel? I'm scared. That's why we use violence. That's why we get angry as men. We're scared. We don't know what to do. We revert to our own kind of genetic entanglement with historic toxic patriarchy. We get angry, and when we get a little bit of a gun in our hand, we begin to shoot which we can't talk to. I understand what you're doing, sir. It's stupid. It's dumb, and people know it around the world. But what to do then, Alan? Okay, hear me. It's not simple, but it's doable. Your country, your people, all ethnicities, step by step, day by day, hour by hour, are rising up in solidarity. The whole world, they may not be intervening militarily at the moment, but it's been known to happen. There's stern warnings and there's embargoes. There's all kinds of things coming down. But still you feel that it's safe to carry on because of this non-interference that governments have with other countries. And you feel you can get away with what you're doing because it's been done by Ne Win, it was done by So Mong, it was done by Tan Shui, it was done by Kin Yunt, it was done by, I can't even hardly say your name, Ming Online, blah, 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 blah. And you're not going to get away with it this time. Okay, what to do? You're only like 26 days into this uprising. And it looks to me that it's going to increase in intensity, in wisdom, and gather global momentum. And it may very well be what unites the world in a global democratic struggle for a heightened, renewed hope and respect for Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The world right now, if you haven't noticed, is deeply in need of an inspiration of a higher radiance and meaning of democracy in action, freedom in action, a restoration of the dignity of the United Nations and the 193 nations representing the world there. The people of Myanmar are speaking, they're acting. You are showing the world, you're electrifying the world of a new expression of democracy in action. What can you do, Senior General, and all the people near you that you're consulting with? Immediately realize that you have no future through tyranny, dictatorship, and violence. It's over. The sooner you realize that it's over, the better for you, the better for your family, the better for your associates, the better for your children, the better for your people, and the better for the planet. What to do? National TV, easy. I apologize. I seek forgiveness. I have stopped. I have seen my Angulimala manner. I am returning the country to you, the people, who have elected your leaders, and the recent free and fair election that I have annulled and got paranoid and acted out of ignorance and claimed irregularities and all kinds of other nonsensical crap. And all those distortions I retract, and I return the country to the people. I'm calling down the Thamada. We're going to return to a military organization inspired by its founder, General Aung San. We're going to study the ethics of dignity and conscience and in defense of democracy through nonviolent means. And I apologize to the people on national television. Point one. Use your own language. Use a teleprompter if you need help. Let your wife and friends write it for you, but say it immediately. The world is waiting. Everyone in your country will celebrate. And now what? Release Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, or as the women in the Thammadar, it's the end of me. Return the parliament to its own restored radiance, or I'm leaving and taking everything with me. National TV, release Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, release the president, release the brilliant Sean Turnell of Australia, release my friend U Win Tain, release all my other friends that you've incarcerated, all 700 of them. Call off your war on the people, call off your soldiers, go back into your barracks. Now what? I'm afraid for my safety. Well, there's two options here. Take you and your family and go live in China or Russia, or have homes in both. They'll take you out, leave the country behind, and take anyone that you want with you, or retire and ask for redemption by showing the goodwill of your own cetana, your own intention, and go into a monastery. I can arrange it for you if you need help with a really legitimate Kalyanamitta, a teacher who will help you to understand the machinations of your own Namarupa, and meditate. You will win the Nobel Peace Prize, the people of your country in a joint prize, restoring democracy to a heightened radiance we've never seen in this world. Do it. You have the greatest moment in human history right in your heart and your hand. It's that simple. Call off the tyranny. Get on national television. Apologize, seek forgiveness, release Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, release the others, restore parliament, and let the country get on with being democratic and flower in the world community. The wives of the Thammadar, the terrorist organization in Burma, the women in the police force. I watched a video yesterday of policemen and policewomen that's going online and going into a person's home and kidnapping the mother of a child, like 10 policemen and policewomen standing there like sociopathic sheeple, kidnapping a mother as the child is screaming, no. And I'm thinking, that is so unthinkable that these human beings, and I kind of touch myself, yep, I'm one of them. This is like the sociopathy of a serial killer kidnapping them. It's a video of kidnapping in action, and they're wearing uniforms, and somehow this is like acceptable. This is like okay. And that you can take a human being and kidnap them, harm them, rape them, torture them, starve them, violate them, and tell them they're wrong. It's like, man, I want to say beam me up, but I am beamed right here, and this is about as up as I can be at the moment. And it's just like, all I can think of, it is so wrong that we need a collective global workshop on decoding the propaganda, the distortions, and the mind control of tyranny and dictatorship. That's why it's such an epic expression right now in Myanmar, because it's clearly what the world needs is a deep psychological cognitive revolution of consciousness and psychology and existentialism to confront these deeper forces of greed, anger, and delusion, and learn the high art of taking responsibility for them and challenging these primordial outmoded forces called blame, judgment, and projection. We need a mindful intelligence global workshop to reclaim the sanity of a future to believe in. So from my heart to yours, in our own way, become force multipliers. Send this video wherever you feel moved. Share it within Burma. Give hope to the people. Inspire friends in our own lives to rise up. It's not just about democracy in Burma. It's about freedom worldwide. And I'll see you tomorrow at 9:30 here from Los Angeles. Thank you so much.